learned from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in August 16, 2021, and I'm gonna buy 3 stacks tomorrow because a lot of stuff happened over the weekend. We are going to have a very exciting week. There was a lot of developments. If you saw how we closed on Friday, Friday's move was actually one of the smallest candles on the S&P since 2019. And if you've been watching the news, there was a lot of developments overseas. So we're going to get a lot of data this week. We're going to hear from Jerome Powell. We still got a couple of earnings, but now depending on how some of these global political situations unfold, we will see what we have on our plate. But I got the keys, I got the plays, all of that stuff. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the-stock-market. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch. Let's come to life. And yes, if East Brickton means anything to you, then help me get a job. I'm trying to turn my life around in that aspect and get it moving. And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to chat, baby. And please do not forget, today is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. That is usually how it works. But we got the random account generator here. We started this account with $500 about a year and a half ago. And what we ask on this watch list, you post a specific option trade, strike price, expiration date, all of that below $100. We do a random comment picker in the morning and we go and buy it arbitrarily and we see the performance. So Chad, bring it back to life and thank you to everybody who has posted. But right off the bat, coming into tomorrow, you are going to be getting the Fed minutes. That's one big thing you're going to hear from Powell on Tuesday, and that is what a lot of people are looking at. However, it is going to be this virtual town hall meeting with educators and students. Nobody is expecting any policy updates. You know, it's not like Powell is going to choose this meeting to start explaining what's going to happen with tapering or not, but it will definitely help frame the situation as we get the minutes. There's going to be a lot of ideas going on, but now as far as the economic front, you're going to get a lot of stuff. There is going to be housing data in the United States and a couple of those points, jobless claims at the end of the week, but the main point is going to be the United States and China, retail sales and industrial production. So both of them are going to be reporting. For China, has a lot of implications. They're starting to close down. You saw the floods that happened a few weeks ago. That's going to be reflected into this report, but now also with the United States and everything else. Last week's CPI, that was kind of a point for transitory, and then the PPI was a point for non-transitory. So every single one of these reports moving forward is going to be key. But now coming into our first pretty picture, do not forget this coming into tomorrow, because this is what caused a big reaction on Friday. The Michigan consumer sentiment came in and that hit its lowest since 2011, and it really hasn't dropped like this in a while. So this is what caught a lot of attention and why it is so important, because you see how the S&P moved. It didn't do anything, but right when that consumer sentiment came out there, that sparked a bond rally, and it's kind of showing you here a little bit of the conviction that the market is having, or how convicted they are about kind of some of these recent moves, because the bond market is still elevated here. So depending on how this plays out, or at least the economic data, be careful and be on the lookout to kind of watch it play out like it did last week, especially as the bonds seem more susceptible, even if the market isn't moving too much. So we don't have too much this week besides, again, some of the stuff happening overseas, but mainly that economic data. And like I'm saying here, economic data is going to be key, especially as some data could say that's transitory or not. The whole taper argument or taper talks, that is still the big key right there. But now the global politics and what you got going on in the Middle East, that could end up being more important. So if you start seeing bigger oil moves this week, given the pace to which the Afghanistan situation has kind of been moving over here, if it starts feeding into oil, given how oil moved last week, you are definitely going to get a market reaction from that. So all in all, it's going to be about the economic data. If there's anything external that could affect the economic recoveries and everything else we've been talking about, that will take key. Otherwise, we really want to watch for what we saw last week. Is there going to be velocity or not? But coming into the company news and events now, the first thing we're going to talk about, the Afghan situation. If you remember last week, what they were talking about was how long they expected Kabul, pretty much the capital of Afghanistan, to fall. And they were estimating 90 days. Well, after this weekend, they have revised that situation to 72 hours. So a lot of other countries have gotten involved now. They're removing their diplomats. We evacuated our embassy out there. Russia did decide to stay there, which is kind of interesting. They kind of even threw a little shade at the United States. But as of right now, the insurgents, the people going against it, they have taken over the capital, and they have even taken over the airport. So like I'm saying, tying this into oil and anything else, this could spiral into a situation. We will see what happens, but it is kind of one of these situations that came out of nowhere. I wouldn't want to call it a black swan, but you are definitely going to see people focusing on this, so that's going to be important. The next piece, and this is going to factor into the market, a lot of focus, especially with all of the inflation data, everything else going on, but the crypto market hit over $2 trillion again, and it's been going on the heels of a lot of things. One, even with the infrastructure bill and some of these regulations and all of that, the market is taking it as a positive thing. Crypto regulation will help in the long run, and it looks like most investors aren't too worried. And then leading into Friday, JP Morgan, they put out a note that it's starting to look like institutional buyers now have been getting in, and they're flipping from pretty much shorting to buying. So that got a lot of attention. You're going to want to watch a lot of the stocks, Coinbase, even Robinhood. Robinhood even has earnings this week. And then even shout out to Ethereum Classic, baby. Amen, amen, amen. But there was that. Another piece of news that we got to get ready for, the 13 Fs will be disclosed by next Monday. So for any firms with over $100 million in assets, it is now hit that deadline date between now and next Monday. You will start to get these 13 Fs. We got Starboard Entertainment. They reported a couple of additions and stocks that they cut, but now get ready for this to kind of spur the market. We'll see as it ties into the data and all of that. So that will be key. On the China front, we didn't get too much escalation, but this one right here could be very, very key. It's going to happen on Tuesday. The National People's Congress Standing Committee, they're beginning a 4-day meeting in Beijing on Tuesday, and it's about the anti-sanction laws with Hong Kong and Macau. So they did something like this a few months ago. We want to see if there's a response. It could provoke a response from the United States as well, so we will see how that plays out coming into Wednesday. You're going to get Powell on Tuesday. You're also getting the minutes, but then Fed Kaplan is discussing the national and global economic issues with Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport CEO Sean Donahue. That is going to be on Wednesday, so could have implications for travel stocks and all that, so we really want to watch them. And in general now, any of the Fed speeches or any members of the Fed talking, they've been taking a little bit more weight here, so watch out for that. On the other political side, we're expecting to hear from Biden this week regarding food stamps. There was a report that he should be raising those benefits by the most in history to another 25% increase, so we'll see how that plays out. This is another rumor or something developing now that they want to look into it. The company said they are, but T-Mobile said they're investigating claims of a data breach of up to 100 million people. Apparently, there's information being sold online, and it's tying back to T-Mobile customers, so that one's interesting. Apple, they got a judgment. It's, again, we saw something like this last week, so to see kind of a reversal here, but they are told to pay $300 million in royalties after a retrial of a patent dispute. So they were a leader last week. I really want to watch how that one holds out. Another one, Boeing, they got a Barron's article, so I want to see how it reacts here, but they said that there's 35% upside in the company if they can restore their engineering supremacy and repair their balance sheet. Continuing on the lines of other companies in news, EIX, California's Department of Justice, said they will not be held criminally liable or criminally charged for the Woolsey fire. So with all the wildfires and the back and forth, you've been getting a lot of that. It's liability for these, so that's good. Ford and GM, we saw this about 3 weeks ago over the Super Cruise and Blue Cruise. They're escalating that to courts right now, so we'll watch how that plays in tomorrow. I think on that Monday that we woke up, the first time they both did bad, so that was interesting. Another interesting one, Peloton, they're facing a federal class action lawsuit. It was already filed, and they were saying that the company overcharged thousands of members by charging them sales tax in places where pretty much this sales tax wasn't applicable. So they're pretty good at PR. We'll see how this one handles out, but watch that coming into tomorrow. Sonos, this one was on Friday, and this one had a very, very good piece of news. They had a big step forward with their patent victory against Google. It's at least one step closer. I believe they got one more thing they need to solve, but so far it's been taken as a very positive step for the company, so watch them. And then finally, a lot of people are going to start talking about this. What is Elon Musk going to do? His 3-year suspension as far as being able to hold a chair position, that is about to expire. So now some people are talking about, well, is Elon coming back or not? So we will see. But our work is cut out for us this week. It's going to be a lot of economics. It may be a little bit slow, but if it does speed up, that is probably going to be the signal that it's going to get exciting. So I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stats that I'm looking at coming in tomorrow, and I'm really excited about them. I only have plays on one, Roblox, but that's just the shares, nothing on the shorter term options. But the first one I'm looking at is UAL. So if you remember on Friday, I was looking at these, but transports was subtly leading the decline on Friday. They've been tied to oil and kind of how things are playing out, and just the spread of Delta and how that has been playing out. So I want to watch where they play from here, because a lot of them are at the bottom. You could look at different transports like railroads and all that. They're held up by the KSU deal. You got the earnings and all that out of UPS and FedEx. So domestic airlines, I really want to watch. They're at the bottom there. If they break below, that will be an indicator, and that's pretty much what I'm asking this week here is, are they going to break or are they going to gain footing? It kind of reminds me of XLF before it kind of had that run up there, so keep your eye on it. It could go both ways, but kind of given how we've been playing and the fact that they were showing some leadership aspects on Friday with how they were moving when the market wasn't, I really like that, so I don't have any plays on them. The premiums did go up on there, so I am going to be looking, possibly play it both ways, or we could utilize some premium. I really like that idea, but watch them. That's the first play. The second play is going to be Wendy's. So they got a Barron's article about them on the upside. They said that this stock could do more than most people are expecting. It has the meme ability, and pretty much it just hasn't moved in a long time. So I remember after its last earnings, the stock did really well, but you could see here on the 100 days, hasn't really moved. You pull it up to the 1 year, hasn't really moved. We start pulling it back. This stock just hasn't done much. There's been a lot of that positive effect from some of the food companies like Domino's and Chipotle. I don't know where Wendy's stands in that. So I think it's an interesting one. A lot of people have hyped it up before. I want to just keep my eye on it, and that's really what I'm going to do. I'm not really too convicted on it, but depending on how things play out, even how some of the small caps and hype stocks play out with some of the crypto stuff, we will see, but I'm definitely going to be watching them. And then finally, Roblox. It had a solid day on Friday. We've been talking about some of the short-term plays with it, but now it's going to have earnings this week. I want to see if that hype comes in there. And the best part is that back and forth that it's pretty much been doing, it has really killed the premium. So coming to the chart, you'll see what I'm talking about, and I like it, but it just doesn't mean that these are necessarily a good deal. Essentially, like on the call side, most of the premiums are just where they've been at over the last month or so, and that's where I'm saying they could still drop in value. But you look at puts and calls, both sides have dropped, and that's on September, so even more on the August and closer. So I want to just see how this one plays out there. It could be an interesting one, but if I see any quick volatility, I think that one will be a good shorter-term play, or hopefully we could get a free earnings play leading into the run-up. But those are going to be the main plays. Coming back to the charts as far as everything else, going to be watching oil as well. We were looking at that chart on Friday. Depending on how things play out overseas, oil and just the move that it's had, that has been the key, because people are trying to see, wait a minute, does oil keep going? Again, last week you had one of the bigger chip drops that you've seen since 2018. So some of those metrics in bigger industries, chips, oils, commodities, what they mean to the economics, that is very important. So I'm going to be watching XOM, watching NVIDIA. They're going to have earnings this week. So they've had the run up, they had the split. They report a little bit later here, so they're going to be reporting this week. We'll see. Disney, I made a play on this on Friday, and I forgot I also did add to the Coinbase. Let me go over those plays for you. But the logic was I went for the continuation. Remember, they were up 5% on earnings. I was hoping that it would hold up there. We'll see if that plays out tomorrow. If it does, I will have to double dip because I got squashed on the contracts. I went for the closer ones, pretty much lost 76%, got the 195 calls. That was a complete clap. But now coming into the other play that I made Friday, I grabbed another one of the Coinbases. So if you guys remember, I had those 410s, but then I went with the 350. Those ended up dropping another 10%, but I lost about 50% on the other one. So I went closer to the money. I still like the Coinbase play, but you can see the risk here. I've been buying them during some of the volatility post post-earnings, so there is a risk we need the move to happen. If it doesn't, I will get fully clapped on that, but going to be watching both of those. Again, I really like Coinbase. It moved up a little bit after hours, after Bitcoin and everything else started moving, and even without it, it still closed above 260, so that's a key level. I'm going to be watching them. Watch Robinhood. They have earnings, and I did also make a cheap play on that on Friday, and it was because of the news, but I did keep it very small. Ended up dropping $7, 15%. I grabbed a 67 call for August 20th for $45, and there was the news that the SEC isn't going to be going forward with banning payment for order flow. So even Virtue Financial went up on that, but remember, there was two things that brought it down from the hype. So after the IPO, and it was one, they had to file more shares to sell them for some of the other investors, but then they said you need SEC approval, and then a couple days later, there was this report about payment for order flow coming in on legislation. So now both of those have been wiped out. That's why I said, okay, I'll take a play on it, but I was a little bit hesitant again after getting clapped on that Disney. So we will see, but watch them coming into tomorrow. Airbnb, it finally bounced back from that report that it had on Friday. Again, it was down at first, ended up closing pretty good into after hours, so still want to watch them. They're operating a little bit different than some of the other travel stocks, so that could be good, and hopefully they're getting their own little earnings reaction. Wendy's, like we said. Peloton, I want to just watch how that news comes in tomorrow. We'll see as the lawsuit affects them or how that develops. Then Roblox, like we said, and then Walmart, they have earnings as well. Those premiums are still up 88%, so it's came down a little bit, but I want to watch how it plays into earnings. It may have chilled out. And then finally, UWMC, they were responding to the Arquite earnings. They closed up 5%, but I think you were getting earnings on them tomorrow morning. So depending on how that plays out, we may have a lot to work with there, but I will be watching those, especially as we get real estate data and more volatility with the bonds here. This could point to a lot with the mortgage stocks. We will see if they kind of gain some life here, but watch them. And then finally, TLT, it is pretty much coiled up here in a range. As you see, any data is ready and willing to shoot up here, but we are still kind of keeping it in that range leading into Jackson Hole. But now the dollar, it was trading a little bit higher here coming into this Monday, but it's looking that it should chill out and probably get a little weaker tomorrow. We will see, but the real key here is going to be velocity. The minutes will definitely move some things as well as whatever Powell says, but do not underestimate the overseas influences right now for it to lead people into our bonds. So we will have to keep a close eye on that. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you really listening, baby. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm gonna see you in the morning. Let's go.